You're listening to Pro Booth Talk, education and insights for photo booth company owners.
Welcome back to Pro Booth Talk.
Hi, Jason. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Lap.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm juggling some things today. It's a busy day for both of us, yeah?
Yeah, it's a busy day and a slow season. It's funny, like when things slow down, I automatically start to like slow down too. Like if I just sped through all my tasks, then I feel like I would burn through them really quickly. But because I don't have the pressure of deadlines, I kind of start putting things off and taking things easy and relaxing. And the next thing I know, I've
Yes.
like got all these deadlines again.
Yeah, it's hard when you're working at home and you have so many things that easily distract you too. Especially kids.
And I had one of our listeners, Anna, and her husband Roger stop by the office a couple days ago and say hi. So that was always nice to have people stop in.
Visitors. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like you get visitors every so often. I remember one time Min was visiting while we were in the middle of recording.
Yeah, I just stuck his head in.
So
I
casual.
felt bad because we were recording, so I couldn't go say hi or talk to him, but he just stuck his head in and
Yeah.
left.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. So that time of year again for another fireside, which we've heard from a few people that they like because it is a short and actionable and cuts out all our chitter chatter. Apparently people don't like when we talk. That's okay.
They like for us to get to the point, so rapid fires are popular. Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah, but I mean, if you want me to get to the point, then pay me. If I'm going to sit here for free, then I'm going to enjoy myself. And I'd rather just hang out and have a conversation.
Plus, we don't ever actually plan for the conversations to go as long as they do. Even when we think it's only going to be like a few minutes, we end up just veering off into all these other topics, which sometimes gets really interesting, I feel like.
I think a lot of the veering probably does produce a lot of gold, depending on where people are at in their business.
Yeah, how much you're paying attention. Yeah.
Anyway, so I just grabbed a couple of questions from various Facebook groups right now before we started. So the first one was, do you ever reach out to photographer or videographers after a wedding to ask for photos or videos of your booth being used?
I think when I first started, I used to do that. When I didn't have my own content, I used to do that. But it's a lot harder to get a photographer to go through my experience. This is before I knew a lot of photographers. I would hit up random photographers that we work with, and they're not that eager to go through their galleries just for your content for you for free. So yeah, I didn't get too much success with that.
And that's the thing specifically for free. Like that's like saying, hey, I saw you were baking a cake next to my photo booth. Could you give me some of that for free? Like that's their service. That's what they get paid to do.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you want to reach out to someone randomly, then I would reach out with say, hey, would you mind selling me some of these, or could I buy some of these photos or videos if you have anything good that you captured at my booth? And then it's still kind of questionable because that's their client's photos. Like, can they even legally share those? Like, I don't know where the gray line is there. I've never personally reached out to someone and asked, but several times I have been at a wedding or an event and saw that one of my friends were photographing or the videographer just from being in the industry so long, and would then approach them there and say, hey, if you get a minute, could you just like capture some B-roll for us and send it over, and no pressure or whatever. And typically like they want to and they want to help, and it's a mutual collab, and then you need to make sure you're tagging them and doing all that stuff. But I would never just call a photographer and ask for their stuff.
Yeah, there's not really any incentive. This really goes back to the whole thing of like making sure you have strong relationships and a network of frienders. So, like if you know them, they'll be happy to send you that photo if you're friends with them, if you know them, if you have established like that relationship with them, which I've had way better success with, especially if you work with like teams. There's sometimes you have like teams of like the planner, the photographer, the DJ. They all kind of work together so often that we become like our own little group. Then everybody's like eager to share their content and things like that. And that goes for stories, that goes for the professional photography, it goes for B-roll, what you're talking about, it goes for like what's that called, like reels, when you put together reels and stuff, you start tagging
Right.
all your vendors that you work with quite a bit. I think those relationships have been more beneficial than just like randomly hitting up a photographer or videographer that you don't really know. But
Yeah,
it's a great
yeah.
opportunity to start a relationship with them, though.
Yeah, and I would do that at the wedding. Like if you catch
Yeah.
them over there taking photos of the bride and groom at your photo booth, and you're not going to interrupt their process, then just say, "Hey, man, would you mind sharing some of those with me?" And typically on site, they'll just be like, "Yeah, of course." And then that gives you a window to reach back out and say, "Hey, it was
Yeah.
good meeting you." But also, you may have better luck. I've never tried this either, but you may have better luck if you build up some kind of rapport with the couple. If you just say, "Hey, I saw the photographer taking some really great photos of you guys at the photo booth. Do you
Yeah.
mind sharing that or sharing your gallery?" And I assume that they would be really open to it.
Yeah. And I feel like planners are a great connect. I know they have a lot on their plate, but if you have that relationship with the planner, they'll usually be happy to share those images, because usually you'll tag them, especially in stories and things like that. So that's like extra exposure for them. So it's beneficial to them too. Yeah.
All right. So next question. I didn't see who this was. It may have been anonymous. I don't know. I just wrote down the questions themselves. We're considering adding another DSLR booth to our inventory and currently have Windows-based tablets in our booths. Wondering if we should add an iPad-based tablet, if there's any other benefit to running through an iPad. I mean, to me, it really comes down to preference, but I'm on a slow journey to move almost everything I've got over to iPads. It's just so much easier for us. We don't have to like unload kiosks to set them up. It's all browser based. So we load that, and then whoever's on site that day just
Clicks
chooses
refresh.
whichever event. You don't have to worry about the wrong photo kiosk going out. It's super easy to do troubleshooting. I mean, with Windows based, you can do the remote access or whatnot as well, but the troubleshooting is just a lot easier for us on iPad based things.
Sometimes.
Well, what instances are they not? I mean, internet dependent, but I mean, if you don't have an internet, then it's going to be difficult on a Windows base as well.
So, I've always been more team Windows because I love TeamViewer. I love the control. I love that you can remote in and pretty much easily reprogram a lot of things. There's a lot of things that you have under your control that you don't quite have with the iPad boost. I mean, I have both, and I feel like the iPad boosts are just becoming a lot more powerful because of the things that they can do so easily. Like before with Windows, you had to custom program a lot of stuff like glam and a lot of this like more advanced outputs that you're seeing that Snappic and some of the iPad boosts are making really, really easy, AI and stuff like that. But it's all good until it's not, until there's some issues. And I've seen some stuff like when the iPad needs to be updated or Snappic needs to be updated, it has wreaked havoc on the entire system for the photo booth, and it's the weirdest thing. I've seen it a handful of times where like you could have tested everything prior to the event, and just because there was an update that pushed through and for whatever reason you need that update to have Snappic run, your entire system will just not work until you update. And sometimes when you're on site, updating is not as quick as like a 2 second. Like I know sometimes we have the dreaded, what is that, Windows that would force you into update back in the day. Do you
Windows,
remember those?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I would argue that Windows updates are much more
They're
terrifying
not
than iPad updates.
sure, but now I feel like for some time I haven't seen those Windows updates push through because I always had mine off, but
There
it
was a
was still,
period, though.
yeah,
You're
there
right,
was a
that they
period
wouldn't let
where it
us
was
turn it off,
horrible. Yeah, it was
and you
horrible.
just turn your booth on and be like,
Yes, and you're
"Windows
just
updating,
praying
2 hours and 90
right
minute
before
or two
your
hour and
event
30
starts. Yeah,
minute estimated time."
right before your event's about to start, you're like, you have that dreaded update window, right? But like, I feel with the iPads, I've seen occasions where, like the firmware of the camera doesn't update, or it's the firmware of the camera, it's the iPad software, or it's the actual boost software where you can't get anything to function properly. And you can't, it's not that easy to pinpoint sometimes. Sometimes they'll tell you like, oh, error, it won't capture, and you have no idea why, and it's something to do with like updating the system. So it's harder in my experience to troubleshoot an iPad booth when something does go wrong, just because there's just so many components when you factor in like the external printer server, and it's just so much extra. I don't know how to describe it, Jason, but I feel like iPad boosts are awesome until you have to troubleshoot. And then they're not as easy to troubleshoot as a Windows PC. And that's always been my thing with like why I've been resistant towards moving towards iPad boosts. I have 2 or 3 iPad boosts, but and it's the one that's most requested is the one that I usually will send out nowadays. But you have to be really comfortable with troubleshooting. Like you literally have to be like, look at the Windows PC. Now go to the front, look at the because your
I don't
attendants
know.
sometimes they don't
I
know
still
the
feel
difference.
that iPad is a lot easier to troubleshoot than Windows personally. So, I mean, I guess it's just going to be whatever environment you're more comfortable in. Because, like, I use Macs on my day to day. I have for 20 years. So maybe it's just because I'm more comfortable in that environment, but I have a much better time.
I'm totally comfortable with both, but I feel like your team on site, when you're having to tell them like, okay, now jump on this PC, now jump on the iPad, now jump on the PC, it's like 2 different screens. And we talked about this in the past, like when you're
Sure,
troubleshooting,
with like the print server.
yeah, like
Yeah, that is a hang up for sure.
yes. And it's like, okay, I'm on, and for whatever reason, my team, no matter what, they know it's the front of the booth. They know a Surface Pro, they know an iPad, but when you're on site and all this, there's so many moving parts, there's so many things going on. There's people, talking to you, the system's not working. All like common sense goes out the door. So like you literally have to be like, move to the front and look at the iPad, move to the back and look at the Surface Pro. And just those that extra phrase, even though it's so small, when you're like against a clock and you're on site at a live event trying to troubleshoot, those little extra steps that you have to explain to your staff becomes a big deal because it does slow you down a lot more than it has to. So for me, I personally don't like to troubleshoot when it's an iPad booth. I'm
Okay.
very comfortable with both, but I prefer Windows. But that being said, I feel like it's inevitable that you have to have an iPad booth because they're just so much more powerful now. Like they do so much more at just a click of a button versus a Windows booth.
Incredibly powerful.
Yeah. Yes. Like
So yeah,
it's
you definitely, if you don't have one, you
undeniable.
definitely have to get one if you're expanding.
And get comfortable with it.
Personally, we're going to move to a position where we're like 80% iPad based, just because of the ease of setup. We like being more universal. I would say like some of the benefits of Windows and why we're keeping some is because a lot of times, and I'm sure if I got more comfortable with Breeze, then this would
Breeze.
probably eliminate
This
this.
topic keeps
But
coming up, Jason.
yeah. But Windows does a lot of stuff that iPads don't, like if you're willing to just
Custom.
put in the time to create things, because once something is like, I feel like our glamour has been better than a lot of people's for a very long time because we took the time to like perfect our own droplet, and we were able to make very flawless skin without affecting a single eyelash. The eyelashes are
Yeah.
still perfectly crisp and clean and stuff like that. But now you've got like Snappic just released their new glam filter that is AI based, and it has a slider to control the amount of glam and a slider to control the whiteness of the teeth. I haven't played around with it yet, but I saw that email and I'm just thinking, well,
So much
that's
more
going to,
powerful.
yeah. So if you're using an iPad, you just have to realize that everything there is going to be widely accessible to everybody, so it's going to saturate the market. So even though a
Yeah.
lot of most people were already doing glamour, like everybody now will be doing a glamour. So I think
Everybody
that,
has been. Everybody
yeah.
has been. But
But
yeah,
now from day one, like you get your first iPad and you
yeah.
have Snappic and you're doing glamour.
You should still be, you guys, for anybody who's starting out or who's debating like starting to offer glam, like you should be charging a premium or extra for it, even if it is just a touch of a button, just because it is something extra special to it. The skin smoothing is not a standard service, so you should be upcharging for it. However much you upcharge, charge something. But yeah, I feel like iPad booths, like if you don't have an iPad booth, it's inevitable. Like you need to at least have one. So if you're debating getting one, definitely get one. And this is coming from someone who does not prefer iPad booths. It's just so much more convenient and powerful. Like there's been occasions where you show up and you think you have an 8x8 space for a backdrop and you realize you do not. You only have a 2 foot by 2 foot. And in a Windows booth, you definitely can do AI background removal, but it's just a lot. You just have to jump through more hoops to program what in an iPad booth. You literally just click a button. So that's the reason why when I send out boosts, we're probably at about 80% iPad boost too, even though I prefer Windows. But the flexibility to go from like AI to green screen to video booth, like, and I've had those clients where they book like a green screen and we show up, they're like, no, we want this instead. And you, in a Windows
Instantly
PC,
on the fly.
yeah, like on a Windows PC, it would just take you like at least 2 hours to program. Whereas in an iPad booth, you literally just like 5 minutes max, five
Yeah.
minutes max,
And also on that same note, like, even though it's 5 minutes max for you, don't like, if someone asks you to change something like that on the fly, you got to ho hum a little bit. Say, let me call the deploy team or the
Yes.
tech team back at the
Yes.
office, see if they can update. Like, don't let them know it's just like a click of a
Yeah.
button, because that diminishes your value.
Well, not just that, but you also have to realize that if you are able to make these changes quick, your client just thinks that it's a quick fix, but they don't realize that you actually had to spend a lot of time, R&D. You had to spend a lot of you had to invest your personal, time to like learn all this stuff. So even though it's quick for you, it's kind of like that whole air conditioning thing. Like when an air conditioner guy comes and fixes your air conditioner in like 5 minutes, to you it's like 5 minutes, but to them that's a lifetime of learning. So you have to remember that, and you have to factor that in when you're making these changes, so that your client doesn't think that they're just easy fixes. Because if you never took the time to learn the systems and the software, you would not be able to do a lot of this stuff in 5 minutes. I say 5 minutes because you should know your system, you should know your hardware, your software, to be able to do stuff in 5 minutes. But someone new off the street is not going to be able to do that in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and it's a good analogy. I like the air conditioning guy analogy, because I'm sure a lot of people would feel robbed if they're there for 5 minutes and they're leaving and it's a $500 bill.
Yeah.
People are irritated that they're paying $500 for what took this guy $5 or 5 minutes. But you're right, it took him 5 minutes because he has a lifetime of experience and knowing exactly what's wrong.
Yeah. But definitely learn the iPad system, because if you don't, I feel like you're going to fall behind. Like if you're only on Windows-based booth and if you're just doing like backyard parties and you just do basic strips and 4x6, it's not that big of a deal. But like if you really do want to grow in the industry, you really should be keeping up with like the latest and the greatest. And iPad booths are going to be the latest and the greatest. They're going to have the most up-to-date
They're definitely
tech.
moving way faster.
The growth in the last, I don't know, like 3 years, Jason, has been crazy. Like the stuff
Or
back in the day, you couldn't
Windows
even
are about
print.
the same spot.
Yeah, Windows has, if you're pretty savvy, you can do a lot of, the reason why I still like Windows is because you can custom program a lot of workflows and outputs that you can't do in iPad booths. Like there's limitations, there's pros and cons to both, but like with Windows, sometimes if you have those clients that are asking for very, very specific workflows, very specific output, you might not be able to manipulate like an iPad boot the same as you would with the freedom that you have with like a Windows-based boot. So that's the reason why we have both. But if you don't get an iPad boot, you will definitely be falling behind, just because you're not going to have access to a lot of this technology that these iPad booths are pushing out like so fast. Like I struggle to even keep up with everything because it's just changing, like we're talking about AI, like a year ago didn't even exist. And now it's like insane, it's doing all kinds of crazy things that it never was able to do before. So if you're thinking about getting another booth, get an iPad booth. You're going to have a learning curve, especially with the printing. Cause I know, Jason, you had brought up like the question of like, how do you go about printing? You're going to struggle through the R&D, figuring out like what printing system and workflow works best for you. But
well, let's move straight into that.
Yeah.
Don't slow down. What iPad printing? Someone posted specifically that they're sick of their Aircast Pro, and that's what other people are using. I've never used an Aircast Pro. I looked into it for a bit, but I kept seeing people having issues. Like there's a lot of solid people that swear by it, but I just saw so many people not swearing by it. And like I'm super technical, so I feel like my peers really liked it, but I'm not the one that's doing the tech support and stuff. I've got to rely on my staff, and I just want things that work and you don't need to be technical to use. So what we do, we have two systems. One, which is what we did for years and we try not to do anymore, is just wireless, running to a Surface Pro print server. We connect directly to the iPad hotspot, or if it's a trade show or something, we'll bring our own hotspot in. But that's pretty reliable. Anytime it isn't working, we'll just swap that and connect the iPad to the Surface Pro, which costs us internet, but at least we can print. But more recently, we just hardwire everything. So, I mean, that's what I recommend doing is just don't dealing with
Headline.
wireless. Don't do the Aircast or any of that. I have pearls, so I took them apart and I essentially just ran a Ethernet cable down to the bottom base where the power thing is on the pearl, and I drilled out a hole there and put a permanent Ethernet connection there, so we can just plug it straight into the pearl, and it works really great. It's like zero issues once you're wired.
Yeah, I've tried them all. I've tried Hardline with the router. I've tried the Aircast Pro. I've tried Surface Pro. And I'm one of those people that like, I feel like you should have a backup of a backup if even. So we have Aircast Pros, we have Surface Pros, and then we have like the back screen that also has its own Windows PC. The Hardline, for whatever reason, my team struggles with that, which I don't know. I just have different configurations for them. I've had like the Windows, like the Surface Pro for the longest time I thought was like one of the more reliable ones, but I've been noticing like some weird crashing of the software. So that's the reason why we have an Aircast Pro in there as backup. The Aircast Pro is not bad, you guys. There's a slight delay, but it does have like quirks to it. So you really have to, I feel like with anything with technology, you have to understand your hardware and your software well enough to know that if there's like tricks around like weird things that would come up. So sometimes the Aircast Pro doesn't connect. So you have to like go in there and like go into the intranet link, and then like delete the printers and reset something. There's like an invisible button. It's the weirdest thing, but there's like an invisible button, you guys, where you can like the entire system, and then the printer will pop up and then you'll be able to print again. Or like when we change paper with the Aircast Pro, for whatever reason, it disconnects. So you got to go through that whole process. So there's like weird quirks with the Aircast Pro. It's good for you to learn it because you never know when it'll come in handy. Like I feel we always talk about like having backups of everything. And with the iPad printing system, like having a backup is always going to be beneficial to you. You know, if on the Surface Pro, the printer server crashes, which I've had every so often, it's good to have an Aircast Pro. If you don't have an Aircast Pro, you should learn all the different ways you can get it to print. It's to your benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like you're opposite from me than me, but I definitely start with wired. We just have like I think it's an Anchor brand
Is it blue?
dongle. Yeah, they're just like it's like a silver
little
blue.
Oh yeah.
And it plugs into the iPad, and then the power plugs into that, and an Ethernet cable plugs into that. Then the Ethernet, like I said, goes through the neck of the Pearl, so it's going to change for whatever kiosk you have. And then we have it ran down and permanently set up to like a Ethernet port down there. That if you look for like marine ports, like these are made for boats, so there's just like two Ethernet ports on the side. You just drill a hole and you twist them together and plug it in one side, and the other side you just have an Ethernet plug. And then you do have to use like if you're using a Surface Pro and they only have the one USB drive, you're gonna have to use like a dongle
USB, yeah,
and a USB
that has
the Ethernet dongle, and also a splitter or a hub, a USB hub,
a hub,
to connect
yeah.
your printer. So I mean that is a big downfall, I guess, of the iPad, is just having that
A little
extra
bit more messy.
Yeah, it's more messy, and everything, like there's always just like tweaks and workarounds instead of just being native. But
yeah. That's I did hardline it, but for whatever reason, I do not know what it is, but like my team just struggled with it being hardline. So it was a lot easier for me to have the other systems in place. But I've tried them all, you guys. I've even tried like the little PC that has like a screen so you can touch the
they don't work for
screen.
me either.
Yeah, I've tried everything, and there's something new that at the last PBX that I found. It was made by DMP. I think it's the WPS, but it's like their newest one where you don't even need a printer server. It just directly prints. Like I plugged my phone into it, and then from my phone, I clicked print and it sent it straight to the printer. I actually want to try that. I think they told me it was like $150, $200. I just haven't gotten around to ordering it to try that out, because that would be pretty awesome it literally is like direct connect printing. Like my phone went straight to the printer and it printed right from my phone. So I kind of want to try that with next. Like that would be the one thing that I haven't tried as a printing solution, because that was kind of cool. There was a slight delay.
I would love to have something like that built into my Pearl, so I could just plug a printer
Yeah.
directly in without the Surface Pro
There's
and all
no
of that.
Ethernet, nothing. It literally was just like direct connect. It was like a USB. My phone has a USB-C. It's a newer iPhone. So USB-C directly connected to the printer. And from my phone, I clicked print. One of my photo in my gallery, I clicked print, and it went straight to the printer, printed it. I mean, the format was not great because I don't remember if it gave me an option to resize or anything like that. But that would be really interesting to. I just don't know why I haven't like explored that any further. But I saw that at PBX working. That was pretty cool.
Hmm. Well,
WPS, DMP, whatever DMP's little console
it's like
printing.
an Aircast like
Very
competitor, right?
similar.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've seen that. And final question: what are you using to store your backdrops and your props? What do you store your props in, Lap?
I knew you were gonna stop me and ask me that. Well, you guys, I stopped using props. I always talk about this, but I stopped using props years and years ago. I think like COVID was like the one excuse. Anybody who was thinking about like cutting props out, COVID was like your opportunity where you had such a great excuse. I stopped using props before that, but we do still have tons of props. We just store them in like, those big old black bins because I have like bins and bins from all the years of collecting them. I have bins and bins of them. It's very rare that I bring them out, but I did bring up that like Christmas props. I have those in small bins because during Christmas we send them out with our booths because I'm not against Christmas props like the hats and stuff like that. And then also Star Wars Day, for whatever reason, Star Wars Day I feel is like a great opportunity for props, like with the lightsabers and then like even like the capes and the costumes. Oh, because I love cosplay, so Star Wars, I have a
Well,
prop
sure.
collection for Star Wars.
Any event that is prop driven, like a wedding isn't prop driven, and that's I think where the disconnect comes. But like even if you have like a Gatsby, there's some really good Gatsby props, that if people want to put on pearls in the gloves and whatever. So as long as it fits the theme, but otherwise I'm with you. Like wedding, you're forcing a prop into a wedding that just doesn't belong there. So I'm with you, but we still do the props because we ask if people want them and we discourage people from taking them, and they still want them, but we're very small. We use like it's just a plastic tote. It's like 12 inches by like, I don't know, 5 inches tall or something by maybe 8 inches wide. So we are very minimal in props, but we do bring them for our backdrops. I've seen some people that have some really great little totes, which would be great because they're obviously square, so they stack more easily and load onto carts more easily. But we use these little hand drawstring bags. We found them on Amazon, and then we use Brian or what's he, Scott's backdrops, PB backdrops, and they fold up perfectly and fit in these little red tote bags that we have, and we put labels on them, and we've got shelving for them, and it works well for us.
Yeah, I have mine in little plastic bins, and then I label the ends. Um, I used to use like the travel bags because then you could see they were like really small, like fabric, made out of fabric, and they had like a little mesh window, which I kind of liked because like depending on how much you're packing, especially like when you're doing multiple booths at an event and then you have so much gear, like the flexibility of like a fabric bag that can fit anywhere was really nice. But I like to keep mine in a bin whenever possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bins are the way to go, but we didn't
Yeah.
start there, so
Yeah.
that's where we're at now. I mean, if someone wants to go the handbag, drawstring handbag route, shoot me a message and I'll link you to what I'm using or send you a photo or something. But I would reach out to Lap first and find out what tote she's using because
Well,
that's
because
better.
those are really they're little they're like 12 by 12 fabric travel bags. Like how they have like those shrinkable bags that you can like vacuum out. It's meant to like be compartmentalized into your luggage. So it's something very similar to that. And I love that it has like a mesh window so it breathes through and you can actually look through. And they lay really flat. You can travel anywhere with them, and they pack into like if you need to throw them into like your big black bin, you want to keep them out, if you want to put them into like your backdrop bag. So flexible, so flexible. And they're color coordinated too. So like if you're one of the companies that have like true 8x8 and then you also have like the 7 by 6 inch, which I had, like both variations for some time, or even like the 10-foot ones, you can actually order them in different colors, like blue and green and black. So you can like look at it and right away. I mean, you should label
No,
the backdrop
immediately.
anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, but color coding that's a good way to immediately know.
Yeah.
So Well, that's our 4 questions. I only did 4. It's half an hour.
Short
Pretty
today,
quick.
guys.
Just the way you like it. So what can we talk about for 45 minutes to throw this off the rails?
No, I think we should just keep this one short. Everybody likes rapid
No,
fires because
yeah,
they
of
like us
course.
being to the point.
All right. Well, that's to the point. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
And see you again soon in Amsterdam. Who's going to Amsterdam?
Hey.
Yeah. Hope to see everyone there.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
To keep the conversation going, join our Facebook group, Pro Booth Talk Community. If you enjoyed this podcast, consider showing your support by subscribing, liking, reviewing, or sharing this topic with someone in the industry.